Yeah, yeah. I think that's where you want us. I think yeah. Sounds good. We're just gonna line here. You stand next to me. Okay. Come on up. Come on up. We have that side too. Perfect. Yeah, don't lean into my height. Good morning, everyone. Oh, that's right. It's all ladies. It's all women. Just look at us. Okay.
That's all right.
That's awesome. Yes. I know. Good morning, everyone. I am honored to welcome Senator Elizabeth Warren, who's obviously right here, Congresswoman Catherine Clark, our Minority Whip, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, representatives from Senator Ed Markey's office, Senator Cindy Friedman, former Attorney General Martha Coakley, Reproductive Equity Now, the Women's Bar Foundation, the ACLU, and representatives from 5 incredible Massachusetts law firms, Foley Hoag, Goodwin Procter, Goulston Stores, Mintz, and Ropes and Gray. Today's announcement has been on my schedule for the last few weeks, and so I'm absolutely proud of the work that this office continues to do in terms of reproductive justice. But our team and partners did not know that when we set the date for this important announcement, that we would be speaking to you in the wake of deadly attacks on the AAPI community and the murder of Tyre Nichols. I continue to pray for the victims and the survivors of Monterey Park and Half Moon Bay and their families. However, all of us know we need to do more than pray and stand in solidarity, because we know these horrific attacks don't happen in isolation. They are part of a pattern of an uptick of aggressive hate crimes towards those in the AAPI community, especially since the start of the pandemic. Our office will continue to do everything in its power to stop these hateful acts and ensure that we hold people accountable and ensure that the AAPI community feels safe as they go about their daily lives. I am also praying for Tyre Nichols, his family, that community, and our country. He was a father, a son, a friend, a community member, and a human being. I am deeply saddened and at moments emotionally overwhelmed by the brutal beating that ended in his murder. Every time we see another instance of police brutality, it breaks the heart of mothers and communities all across this country, especially the Black community. This persistent trauma, it destroys our young people and it destroys our families. But I, and like so many of you, did not need to see another video to know that there remains tremendous work to do to address corruption, police brutality, and racial justice in Massachusetts and in this country. From the AAPI community to the Black community to the LGBTQ plus community to our Jewish community and other religious denominations and so many more, we cannot become numb to these horrific acts or normalize them. My office, particularly and including the Civil Rights Division, the Criminal Bureau, Public Protection Advocacy Bureau, and so many others stand ready to protect these communities and to fight for them. My team and I will not forget the urgency that we feel right now as we all forge ahead together to address these critical issues. Keeping the victims and survivors in mind, and of course their spirit, I am really happy to be here with these incredible leaders on this stage to talk about something positive and something joyful. I'm honored to share the stage with leaders in the fight for reproductive justice. The Attorney General's office has long championed reproductive justice. Our attorneys and our staff work hard every single day to ensure people have access to safe, affordable, culturally competent reproductive care, including abortion, in every corner of our state. We have continually responded to the uncertainty surrounding the future of reproductive care. That work includes everything from addressing data privacy concerns to combating misinformation around our crisis pregnancy centers. Actually, they're not ours, around crisis pregnancy centers. We have also successfully pushed for, in close partnership with elected officials and organizations, including those standing on this stage, a comprehensive shield law to safeguard reproductive healthcare services and gender-affirming care. I would like, in particular, to acknowledge the extraordinary work and leadership of Senator Sidney Friedman, who is standing right behind me, as well as Senate President Spilka and Speaker Mariano, who developed and passed this law, into law, and it is the most comprehensive shield law in the nation. We can give her a round of applause. She's worked hard on this. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator. We will continue to be present in our communities all across the Commonwealth, listening carefully to patients and providers to hear what they need to protect them as we work to expand access to care and to ensure they know their rights and that those rights will be protected during this unprecedented time. That's why today, our office, in partnership with Reproductive Equity Now, the Women's Bar Foundation, the ACLU of Massachusetts, and 5 incredible law firms who have offered pro bono services, is pleased to announce we're expanding our efforts to increase access to abortion resources by launching a free legal advice hotline that will be run by the Reproductive Equity Now organization and the Women's Bar Foundation. For those seeking advice, they can call this hotline at 833-309-6301. 833-309-6301. This hotline will serve as a confidential resource to connect Massachusetts-based healthcare providers and patients in obtaining abortion care in state with legal advice free of charge. It will help people and families, including those who travel from out of state seeking care, access to these critical healthcare services. I want to thank the lawyers from our office. Abby Taylor is over here, Amanda Hainsworth, and many others. Yes, you can give them a round of applause. And all of the incredible lawyers and staff in the AG's office, and of course, all the partners that are standing in partnership with us who have worked hard to convene advocacy and legal organizations to make this hotline a reality. All of them have demonstrated true leadership and serve as an example for the rest of the country when it comes to reproductive justice and protecting our freedoms. We see you, we support you, and we stand shoulder to shoulder with you in this fight. As I think more about Tyre Nichols calling out for his mother while police officers beat him to death, I remind myself that reproductive justice includes not just abortion and contraception, but it is about the right to parent a child in a safe and healthy community. And police violence interferes with that right. I think about my own lived experience and the future of my own children. And of course, I hope and I pray for them for a better future. Black parents, Black mothers, Black guardians should not have to bury any more of their children because of brutality and hate. And so as we are here today to launch this important tool, and it is important to respond to the restrictions on reproductive autonomy, we must continue to remember the important work we have to do to end police violence and to ensure all of our systems work for all of us. Thank you. And now I am honored and privileged to introduce my incredible partner in the work, my friend, Senator Elizabeth Warren. Thank you.
Thank you. I am so honored to be here today with Attorney General Campbell, partly because I know that when she speaks about the importance of supporting all of our communities, and particularly the AAPI community, our Jewish communities, given the pain and violence over the past several weeks, I know that she speaks from the heart and that she commits not just this office, but she commits our entire Commonwealth. I also want to say Tyree Nichols should be alive today. The president is right to urge Congress to pass the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. We have a responsibility, not just here in Massachusetts, but all across this country, to do more to treat all of our communities with respect. Because as the Attorney General rightly says, every mother has a right to rear her children, to parent her children in safe and loving communities. And we are all responsible for making that happen. Today, we are here to fight back against another injustice. I want to offer a very special thank you to Attorney General Campbell for bringing us together. She has been in office for only 12 days. And she told me we're going to be doing this every 12 days. This is truly remarkable. 12 days, and the Attorney General is doing exactly what I expected the Attorney General to do. She has hit the ground running on behalf of the people of the Commonwealth. I am so proud to stand with her, to stand with Congresswoman Clark, Congresswoman Presley, with the people who've helped make this happen. Since the Supreme Court issued its decision in Dobbs, over a dozen states have responded by banning or severely restricting abortions, but not Massachusetts. In Massachusetts, we have stepped up to offer additional protection for women's rights. As a result of the tireless advocacy from everyone in this room, our legislature, led by Cindy, has passed sweeping laws to protect reproductive rights within the Commonwealth. Now, these laws include measures to ensure that Massachusetts providers will also be able to help patients from other states who need abortion care. But it is not enough to put a law on the books. People need to know both about the law and about the help that is available to them. Today, thanks to Andrea's leadership and the leadership of everyone here, that is what Massachusetts is doing by launching the Abortion Legal Hotline. One of the results of the Dobbs decision has been misinformation. Misinformation about which services are legal, deception about where to receive healthcare services, lies intended to discourage women from accessing basic reproductive care. With this hotline, Massachusetts is fighting back against misinformation, deception, and outright lies. This hotline ensures that both healthcare providers and patients can confidently go to one centralized place for free to learn about the protections afforded to them under the law. I also want to thank Governor Maura Healey, who started this important work to develop this hotline when she was Attorney General. I know she will continue to be the partner we need in the corner office to make sure that Massachusetts remains a safe place for anyone who needs abortion care, and that we lead the fight to protect reproductive freedom nationwide. This fight is far from over. In DC, Ed and Catherine and Ayanna and I are fighting every day to make reproductive freedom the law all across this country. But we know that will not happen overnight. And that is why I am particularly proud to be from Massachusetts and to stand shoulder to shoulder with Reproductive Equity Now, with the Women's Bar Foundation, with the ACLU of Massachusetts, and with the law firms that are here to ensure that every woman has access to the healthcare services they need. Because we will not go back. Not now, not ever. And now I turn this over to a fearless fighter and a great partner, Catherine Clark.
Good morning. It is such a pleasure to be here, and I thank our Attorney General and our Senator and my colleague and friend, Ayanna Pressley, Reproductive Equity Now, Women's Bar Foundation, the ACLU, Senator Friedman. The list goes on and on, but the common thread here are fighters, champions of justice who are working for the health, safety, and freedom of every single Bay Stater. And as our Attorney General put it so well, these issues of safety, of access to healthcare are fundamental to how we build a country where we value freedom and equity for everyone. The challenges before us are so bound together. But today we are here to take a step forward in progress. And the leadership of our Attorney General and everyone represented on this stage with me is more vital than ever. This is a frightening time for people across the Commonwealth and our country. Half a century ago, Roe v. Wade propelled America forward in our journey for liberty and justice for all. And last June, the right-wing Supreme Court rolled that clock back, tearing away a constitutional right that most Americans have never lived without. And the consequences have been horrific. From women being denied life-saving care to teenagers forced to carry state-mandated pregnancies. Extremists have put lives at risk, selling out the American people for a twisted vision of a country where freedom is reserved for a privileged few. This is an assault on our liberty, and Americans are speaking out by marching in the streets, fighting in the halls of power, and resisting oppression one case at a time. And today we gather to celebrate another critical step forward, a new legal hotline that will be a resource and also a spark of hope for those who need it the most. This resource will empower women and healthcare providers to know their rights, to be able to exercise and defend their rights, and uphold fundamental human dignity. And I thank you all for your work in making this a reality. I'm proud to be your partner in this work and to be a voice for those who are suffering in the halls of the Capitol. This is a moment for our country of immense uncertainty, but I can tell you that House Democrats are here to fight alongside you, and Massachusetts will continue to lead our nation's way forward because we believe in liberty, not oppression. We believe in progress for all, not power for a few. These are dark times, but as Amanda Gorman told us, there's always a light if we're brave enough to see it. And it is my pleasure to introduce my friend, who is always the light for us, my sister in service, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley.
Thank you, Madam Webb. If you'll indulge me, I'm just going to ask for a member of my team to get over here so you can get this full shot. Because, and the reason why I'm doing that is because, you know, we often quote Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm saying, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring your own folding chair. But I have since amended that to say it doesn't make any difference if we bring a new chair to an old table. And in this moment, we are in fact building a new table. So welcome. Yeah. And I am so very grateful to stand in solidarity with each of these extraordinary justice seekers and public servants. This is the new front line, y'all. And we are battle tested, resolved, and emboldened. And even in the midst of our resolve, on days like today, heavy. You know, every day when my Black husband leaves our home, I'm afraid for him. We often speak of Black resilience as something that I think we have romanticized. It is a resilience born out of generations of trauma, policy violence, and brutality. Black men deserve to grow old, and Black boy joy should be a rite of passage. Tyre Nichols, beloved son, father, brother, should be much more than a hashtag because of yet another unjust killing of a Black man at the hands of police. Tyre Nichols should be trending because he took a beautiful picture of a sunset, something he loved to do, or performed a really hard skateboarding trick, something else he loved to do, or perhaps even for being employee of the month or year at FedEx, where he worked. So our hearts go out to the family, but this has become a maddening deja vu of Black mothers, of Black parents wailing for their children, and a community collectively grieving and mourning. There is something we can do about this if we can summon the political will. Legislatively to act, to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Bill, and I would add my bill to end qualified immunity.
Yep.
And although our Madam Attorney General Campbell, which I do love saying so very much, could never have known that we would come together on this day in solidarity for reproductive rights and abortion justice to make the announcement of this incredible hotline, what would have happened mere hours and days before the consecutive instances of hate. There is a through line, specifically when we talk about Tyre Nichols and what this front line is here to do today. They're both about policing. So whether you are talking about excessive force and racial profiling and brutality and murder of Black and brown bodies, or whether you are talking about abortion bans, which restrict access to healthcare, it is the policing of the bodies of women and all who seek abortion care. And I just want to say this, to the 1 in 4 women who have had an abortion, the women who are in your own families, who you work with, your next door neighbors, and indeed even who you worship with, there is no shame in having had an abortion. And to those who seek abortion care, there is no shame in seeking an abortion. The only shame is that there are unrelenting, coordinated, legislated efforts and forces at work to deny you that which is your fundamental human right, and that is an access to health care. And so I want to thank Attorney General Campbell, Repro Equity Now, the Women's Bar Foundation, our advocates, the ACLU of Massachusetts, our abortion storytellers, every single person who made this moment possible. We thank Attorney General Campbell for her leadership, for meeting the moment and doing what we're supposed to be doing in Massachusetts, setting the pace. With the Abortion Legal Hotline, Massachusetts will be able to provide essential free and confidential resources to connect healthcare providers, helpers, and patients obtaining care in Massachusetts with free legal advice and resources about their rights to access and provide abortions. We thank all the attorneys and caseworkers in advance for your commitment to reproductive freedom. Not that long ago, I had the honor of hosting Vice President Harris in the Massachusetts 7th
days after the unjust Dobbs decision at the hands of the Supreme Court. Again, an unprecedented action, legislating from the bench, overturning the will of majority of the people in this country, as we saw in ballot after ballot in the midterm elections. But Vice President Harris described Massachusetts as the blueprint. And that has been true. As other states have perpetuated injustices against pregnant folks seeking care, here in Massachusetts, we have worked together across every level of government and centered those most impacted in an aim of getting as many people as possible the care that they need and deserve. I've been very fortunate in my now nearly 4 years in Congress to be serving in the first pro-choice majority Congress in the history of Congress. In that context, I also chair the Abortion Rights and Access Task Force under the Pro-Choice Caucus, and am a co-lead of the Women's Health Protection Act, which we need to pass to codify Roe. Also the EACH Act, which would repeal the Hyde Amendment, which is racist and discriminatory. And so we have worked together to secure and expand access to medication abortion. And I want to lift that up because so often when we talk about the fight, we just keep fighting, but it's important to hold space for the victories. And those victories are a testament to the strength of this movement and these justice seekers behind me. We were able to get the FDA to now allow access for medication abortion at local pharmacies. So we have to remain steadfast, purposeful in our advocacy, continue to work in coalition. Again, abortion care is healthcare and a fundamental right. And so I will just again express my gratitude to our Attorney General and all the powerful women who stand behind me and work alongside me. And just know that we are battle tested. We are ready for this and every other fight, and we'll continue to fight for all who are marginalized and to ensure access to resources are available to all those who are in need. Yes, and now, speaking of fighters, you know, this is why I appreciate my folks here. Senator Warren is like, don't forget, don't forget. How could I forget? This is someone who's been a canary in the coal mine for many, many years, shoulder to shoulder with us. And now we'll bring Rebecca Hart-Holder, president of the Reproductive Equity Now Foundation. Oh.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. I want to thank, and I would be remiss not to thank, the incredible leaders standing with us today, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Congresswoman Clark, Congresswoman Presley, and Attorney General Andrea Campbell. We need them fighting with us now more than ever. As the speakers before me have made very clear, reproductive equity is about more than just access to abortion. It's about the ability to parent free from state violence. So I want to be very clear today that we are standing shoulder to shoulder with Tyree Nichols' family. I also want to take a moment to thank Cindy Friedman, the absolutely, again, because she deserves it, a longtime champion for reproductive rights in the state Senate. Without her leadership, this law would not exist. And finally, I want to thank our tireless legal partners, the Women's Bar Foundation, the ACLU of Massachusetts, Goulston and Storrs, Foley Hoag, Mintz, Goodwin Proctor, and Ropes and Gray. I have been absolutely stunned by the outpouring of support from the legal community. I cannot tell you the number of attorneys who have called me and said, "What can I do?" This hotline would not be possible without the over 150 lawyers who have signed on from these 5 firms and the ACLU to provide legal advice and resources for patients and providers across Massachusetts. We are so grateful for your partnership and for your tireless fighting alongside us. The goal of anti-abortion extremists has never been to ban abortion in the 24 states with state legislatures that will ban abortion. In the 7 months since Roe v. Wade fell, anti-abortion lawmakers and advocates had made very, very clear that the goal is to ban abortion in all 50 states. In Missouri, Legislators have introduced a bill to allow private citizens to sue anyone who helps a Missouri resident have an abortion, from an out-of-state physician to an Uber driver that helps take someone across state lines. In Texas, anti-abortion extremists are contemplating how they will prosecute providers who send abortion pills from a state like ours to patients in Texas. And just last week in Indiana, Republican Congressman Jim Banks agreed with an anti-abortion radio host who said that if a young woman could hop in her car and travel from Indiana to Illinois for an abortion, quote, the fight was far from over. To which I say, Congressman Banks, you're right. The fight is far from over. We have been preparing for passage of these draconian anti-abortion, anti-science laws by ensuring that clinicians in the Commonwealth can continue to provide loving and compassionate care, and patients seeking that care in Massachusetts can access it. So here's the bottom line. Today, abortion remains legal in Massachusetts, and no anti-abortion extremists should be able to reach across our borders and challenge that. The Massachusetts legislature made very clear that value this past summer, passing sweeping abortion access laws in the wake of the Dobbs decision that include critically important legal protections for providers and patients offering and accessing lawful abortion and gender-affirming care. But as we all know, legislation is but one step. Implementation is next. That's why today, the Reproductive Equity Now Foundation, in partnership with the Massachusetts Attorney General, the Women's Bar Foundation, these 5 incredible law firms, and the ACLU, are launching the Abortion Legal Hotline. This is a free and confidential hotline that will help connect Massachusetts providers and helpers, in addition to patients accessing care in Massachusetts, with pro bono legal services and resources to fully understand the scope of the new law and their legal rights when offering or obtaining abortion care. Our hotline will give our heroic abortion providers the legal resources they need to continue offering compassionate abortion care without fear. And it will help ensure that patients from places like Texas, Missouri, or Indiana feel safe and protected when traveling to our Commonwealth for care. The fall of Roe v. Wade has raised new and unprecedented questions concerning the provision of abortion care throughout the country. And our hope is that this hotline will serve as an important legal resource for people to fully understand their legal rights and risks when obtaining or offering abortion, and ensure that Massachusetts remains a safe place for care. And now it is my honor to introduce Lola Remy, the Director of Pro Bono Programs at the Women's Bar Foundation.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is my absolute pleasure to stand here on behalf of the Women's Bar Foundation. When we were approached about this project, the response was an unequivocal, absolutely. How do we start this and how do we do it right now? The Women's Bar Foundation is a Massachusetts-based program committed to access to justice for low-income individuals for 40 years now. A lot of our work is in intimate partner violence, and we are very clear on the relationship between access to abortion care and ending intergenerational poverty and racial justice and economic justice. So this project was an absolute no-brainer, and we could not be more proud to be here today. And the questions that we're asked sometimes is, well, we're safe in Massachusetts. Why bother? Our goal is for everyone everywhere to be safe and able to leave abusive relationships when the need calls for it without concern or consideration about their need for access to abortion care or health care generally. So we're just proud to be here and excited to be part of this project, and yay, day one. It's my pleasure now to introduce our partner, ACLU, who is helping us on this.
Nice to see you.
Good morning, nice to meet you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. So I'm Carol Rose with the ACLU.
And I'm joined today by my colleague, Senior Managing Attorney Jesse Rossman, who won't be at the podium, but has done amazing work in running trainings for the over 150 volunteer lawyers who are helping us. So I just wanted her to stand up with us and to be a part of that. I want to thank everyone who's here, the media. Thank goodness you're here. I believe deeply in the Fourth Estate, so I'm going to say thank you to you. But I also want to especially say thank you to Attorney General Campbell. What a great way to start. Yeah, I mean, this is great. Obviously, also Senator Warren, Congresswoman Clark, Congresswoman Presley, Senator Friedman. This is so wonderful to live in a state where we have this kind of senior leadership. I know Ed Markey's team is here as well. To have this kind of leadership enables us to be a beacon for the rest of the country here in Massachusetts. And this really is a moment where Massachusetts needs to be a beacon and needs to lead. After the fall of Roe, Massachusetts did pass the best in the nation protections for abortion providers and patients. And that didn't just happen on its own. Senator Cindy Friedman was instrumental in making that happen. And so is Senate President Karen Spilka and House Speaker Ron Mariano. Thank them. Tell them that you know that they were leaders and thank them for doing this. I'm also so proud to work side by side with Becca Hart-Holder and Reproductive Equity Now in this work. She is a true leader of remarkable strength and vision, and we're so lucky to have you. So thank you. And of course, really proud to also work with the legal community, the Women's Bar Foundation. Your leadership is just so important right now. And we're so glad you said it was like obvious no-brainer. That's exactly how it should be. And to all the law firms and the lawyers who are part of this, it really does take a commonwealth to protect reproductive rights. And here we are doing it together. But notwithstanding the fact that we passed this great law, patients and providers still find themselves in a new and frightening reality. The Dobbs decision created a really chaotic patchwork of abortion laws that make it very difficult for patients and providers alike to figure out how to navigate. And so there are so many legal questions that are raised and are going to continue to be raised. And so having this abortion legal hotline is just mission critical to making sure that abortion isn't just a right in the law, but is a right in reality, that people can actually access it. And that people aren't doing so while being fearful that they're going to end up in prison or subject to some sort of a bounty hunter from another state. So even in a state like ours, where we have greater clarity, abortion remains sort of legally confusing and fearful since the Supreme Court struck down federal constitutional protections for reproductive health care. And that's why the ACLU of Massachusetts is so proud to be a part of this new abortion legal hotline. You know, we bring expertise in abortion rights, but also in criminal law, in speech, privacy, and technology, in the courts, and in all 50 states. There's an ACLU office, so we're able to work across state lines and coordinate and build a network of protections for patients and providers. You know, it's just one of the many tools in the ACLU toolkit. And I want to pause for a minute here and say something about intersectionality. And we've been talking about Tyree Nichols and his family and how we're holding them in our hearts, and we should and we must. But there's also Syed Faisal in Cambridge, who just days ago died at the hands of police in Cambridge. So lest we think that it doesn't happen here, let's just be clear, it happens everywhere. Right. And we need to approach policing as a public health issue. We cannot incarcerate our way out of the opioid crisis. We cannot incarcerate our way out of the mental health crisis or the housing crisis or the poverty crisis. We as a Commonwealth have to create new models and new ways of approaching these public health issues with public health solutions. And that includes reproductive justice. These are public health issues that require public health solutions, not criminalization. And I am so glad that Andrea Campbell has that vision and she brings that to the table. And we stand ready to work with you on that. Because we are not immune to these issues. Every person should be able to get the lawful health care that they need without fear of arrest or criminalization, period. Now, it's my pleasure and my honor to introduce an old friend, Martha Coakley, formerly the Attorney General, but now co-chair of Foley Hoag State Attorney General practice to represent the 5 incredible firms that are involved with the Abortion Legal Hotline. Martha Coakley.
Okay, everybody, I think I am it before we go to questions. And I don't know why I feel like I've been here before, but not just at this podium, at this place where it is so important that we once again continue to stand up for reproductive rights. For over 40 years, and believe me, I was there, the WBA and the WBF has worked for equity for women in the workplace, in courts, in healthcare, and not just for women lawyers, but for all women. We were proud to work with them, our private sector, and as we continue to do that, we're proud to work with our not-for-profit sector, ACLU, the WBF, the WBA have always been there with REN, with our federal partners who are here today, who are out there fighting, as you just heard, on this issue every single day for us. And I've also been proud to work with my firm, Foley Hoag, Goodwin, Proctor, Goulson and Storrs, Mintz Levin, and Ropes and Gray, all of whom unhesitatingly said, when this issue of a referral panel for pro bono work came up, said, of course, we are in. And the partnership that was created, that you see here represented by the folks behind me and some of the folks who are here, is extraordinary, but not unique for Massachusetts. And it's not just for this referral panel. It is for all of these issues that women face and continue to face, as we've noted today, on reproductive rights, but also justice for all and fairness for all. This historic partnership, which is women supporting, assisting, and advising women at this critical time for women's autonomy in their own healthcare. We should not be here, but we are. And we are going to continue to fight. This is nothing more or less than fairness. Thanks to our incredible legislators. And Cindy, don't ever say you've had enough credit for this. It's not true. This extraordinary Massachusetts Shield law that protects folks who want to provide and do the right thing in practice, regardless of where patients are located. That is the only one so far in the country, and it is extraordinary. This referral panel that created today with our courts and lawyers can help level the playing field in Massachusetts and for women seeking fairness in other states. It's too important not to do right, not to do quickly, and not to do well. And this battle continues. So we appreciate your support today. And General Campbell, thank you for your help. Governor Healy for her help and assistance in this, as the office always has done. And I'll turn it back to you for questions.
We're happy to take questions for a few minutes before all of these leaders go back to doing the work they do every day.
When does the hotline go live?
It's live.
It's live up as of
7 a.m. this morning.
7 a.m. this morning.
Is this in response to a need you're seeing already? Are you seeing women show up from Texas or Mississippi seeking abortion?
Yeah. As soon as SB 8 was passed into law, which is the 6-week ban in Texas last September, we saw people coming to Massachusetts for care. That has only increased post-Dobbs, but also as soon as we passed the Shield law, we started getting questions from providers.
Right.
What can we do? How can we be safe? Will I get arrested? What's going to happen to my home if I get sued? So this is in response to very real patient and provider questions.
Rebecca, since Dobbs, have you been getting in general more questions from women in states where the crackdowns happen, or more questions from Massachusetts providers finding out what their rights are?
I would say it's 50-50. Yeah.
Well, everyone in.
Attorney Dunn,
Go ahead.
you talked about creating a reproductive justice unit in
Yes.
Texas as well. Can you talk about plans for that and building off the partnership today? Where that stands is also the plan for tackling crisis pregnancy centers.
Absolutely. So the office, of course, hasn't slowed down. It continues to take on the issue related to misinformation regarding crisis pregnancy centers. The hotline, of course, is just one step in the right direction to make sure folks know about their rights and have access to these critical healthcare services. The reproductive justice unit is at the top of the list. One thing I believe in is we campaign on a lot of things, and everyone up here would agree. And now it's about delivering those promises to our voters, particularly as we see distrust between residents and government. So we are forging ahead to get that unit set up. All the folks who are standing here or out here are going to play a critical role in that. And the goal of the unit is to be intersectional in the work, to pull together folks across the various divisions and bureaus to really deliver healthcare services and to make sure we're doing it with an intersectional lens.
I think someone spoke that then Attorney General Maura Healey had started working on this. Was this immediately in response to Dobbs, or was this already in the works before the Dobbs decision was hot?
I like to think, and I think our governor would agree, that some of this was already in the works prior to. I think everyone on this stage recognized that the Supreme Court was going in the opposite direction. Obviously, our local state legislature recognized it and started codifying not only the SHIELD law, but before that, the right to an abortion here in Massachusetts, protecting our healthcare plans and making sure that folks had access to these critical healthcare services through their healthcare plans. And so we have a team of folks who are always proactive, thinking ahead, anticipating what harm may come to our residents, and doing everything in their power to protect them. Thank you all again for being here today. Continue to take care of yourselves. Thank you.
Somebody do a picture. We need a picture with Cindy.